to be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind, to a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is a thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibilities, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, where we gather at the intersection of arts, justice, and spirituality each week. I'm Reverend Marcus Leifert. I'm so glad for you to be with us today. I especially want to welcome you if you are new to our community. We hope that no matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love or how you experience the sacred, you will feel welcome among us here in the fullness of your being. Everyone's invited to make your way all the way across the atrium after the service for lunch in the social hall. I understand that while we're celebrating the earth and our work to be good environmental stewards, to work on climate justice today, we have an issue with the dishwasher and we're going to be eating on compostable plates. Such is life. You'll see there's these beautiful images up here of this art project that we made last week where we celebrated what we know, that each of us carries a piece of the truth, and that all of our truths colored together make a bigger, larger truth, a wholeness that reflects in the wholeness of the earth, this interdependence, one of our core Unitarian Universalist values. Thanks, everyone, for participating in that. And you may have noticed on your way in, there's an art cart that we're setting up each Sunday morning. And if you want to be drawing or making something with your hands during the service, we invite you to grab things there when you come on in. There's always the memory book at the back of the sanctuary. If there's anything on your heart that you would like read aloud during the service, a joy or a sorrow, grief or gratitude, you can write it there, or simply light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. We have been talking this season about holy habitats and holy inhabitants. This is the final worship in that series of thinking about how to make home in one another, how to offer the radical hospitality like the earth offers us a radical hospitality. So today we're going to ask what it will take to truly become earthlings. So would you rise in body or in spirit? And before we sing our first hymn, to greet one another, you could just offer them a special welcome, earthling.
Open hearts to welcome it among shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Good morning. I'm Nori Clark, and I'm a member of our Climate Justice Committee. And after the service, you can go back during lunch and dress up like I am in a photo booth. So you can spread the word. Anyway, I'd like to invite Nicole and Joyce and Dylan forward to light our chalice this morning. There they are. While I read the words by Reverend Megan Foley, Deputy Director for Congressional Life at our Unitarian Universalist Association. When Unitarian Universalists light our chalice, we are doing more than moving a bit of flame from a little stick to a favorite candle. When Unitarian Universalists light our chalices, we are showing what happens when we harness the power of fire. Fire is one of our world's most sacred elements, perhaps because it always causes change. Fire warms and feeds, fire destroys and eliminates. With a bit of attention and care, fire works with us to reveal, to show, literally to illuminate. Fire helps us to see and survive. And so fire is an especially sacred symbol today at our climate justice revival, because we are in need of change. We are in need of warmth and sustenance, and we need to clear a bright new path for ourselves and our world. May this cup of captured fire be a symbol today of our passion, our care, our brilliance in the face of great need. Like fire, we are powerful. Like fire, we create change.
Okay, let's try that again. Woo! Okay, well, we'll start over. So this is a farmer named Jacob who had been farming on land that his family had owned for generations. And he was very good at it, but he found that he didn't want to do it anymore. And so he decided that he had enough money and he was going to go on an adventure. And so he hired a caretaker named David to come and live on the farm and take care of it and do the farming and do basically whatever David wanted to keep the farm going. And so Jacob went off on an adventure, and friends, it was so much fun. And he found that he didn't want to go home. He was going to go for a year, and then he was like, well, I'm not quite ready. 2 years passed, 3 years passed, years and years passed. And Jacob was still having a great time. So he sent money home every year for seeds and new equipment. But David was in charge of the farm. And so David, for 20 years, worked the farm. He made the land, he expanded the farm, he renewed the earth, he planted new fruit trees, he got new animals. The farm felt like it was his because he worked very hard every day on the farm. And then one day, Jacob decided, I miss my land. It's time for me to go home. And so he started the long journey back to his family farm. And he arrived and he saw that it was beautiful. It looked amazing, and he thought, I hired just the right person to take care of the farm. And he went and he said, thank you, David, thank you so much. And they sat and they had tea. And then Jacob said to David, so where will you go? And David said, what? Go? I'm not going anywhere. This is my farm. This is my land. And Jacob said, no, I'm sorry, it's not. You were the caretaker. And so now it is time. I'm back, and I'm ready to take the farm back, and it is time for you to go. Well, the two men began to argue because both of them were convinced that the farm was rightfully theirs, that the land belonged to them. They couldn't come to an agreement, and so they decided to go into town and see a wise judge. Maybe she would have the answers for them. And both of them were convinced that this was a good thing to do because both of them were convinced that they were right. And the judge was going to agree with them. And so the judge listened, and she heard what Jacob had to say about it's been in my family for generations, and she heard what David had to say about how hard he had been working and that it was his. She paused, and she said, I need to speak to a higher authority. And David and Jacob looked at her like, okay. And she said, meet me tomorrow on the farm. And so David and Jacob went away, and the next day they arrived on the farm with the judge, and the judge said, just a moment. And the judge sat down on the land. And then the judge lay down on the land for a very long time, much longer than I'm going to. And she lay there, and she listened, and she got up and she said, the land has said that it belongs to neither of you. The land has said that you belong to it. And that is my story. If you'll rise and by your spirit, we're going to sing the children out with The Ocean Refuses No River.
Hallelujah.
Hello, I'm Sheila Tarbett. I've been privileged to be the chair of the Climate Justice Committee, and I just want to give a brief report on the Climate Justice Revival Workshop that we had yesterday. Our wonderful committee put this event together. We had about 38 people coming, and we spent the afternoon together following the Unitarian Universalist Association workshop plan. And that material is very powerful to me, and it encourages us to envision a thriving, just future in 2050, a world where humans, ecosystems, our beloved pollinators, plants, and all life thrive. We know we can imagine ecosystem collapse, and there are books about this with scary titles like The Uninhabitable Earth, for instance. But can we imagine a renewed, thriving world? And that was what we're asked to do. So in small groups, we mapped out real challenges like dirty air, loss of biodiversity, and more. We also mapped out solutions that our groups came up with, like becoming an all-electric campus here with vehicle chargers, planting street trees and creating pocket parks, for example, and becoming an emergency center where people can escape heat and deadly pollution. So we ended on a really positive note. We did a lot of small group work and work in pairs. So I think we felt like a real community working on these issues and doing this visioning. We were asked to come up with 3 inspirational words that would guide us in this future work at the very end of the workshop. And I'm just going to read 3 cards here. These are cards with the 3 words that 3 of the people who attended the workshop wrote would guide them forward. So the first one is renewal, resilience, resoluteness. The second one is health, nature, justice. And the third is empathy, community connections, and generosity. So this was really a lovely, inspiring day. And the revival refrain that was woven throughout the material is, we are imagining a world with love at the center. And I'm just going to end with, may that be so. And may we all work toward that really beautiful vision. Thank you.
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide.
Now one stands
invite you to take a moment to settle more deeply into your seat, more deeply into this moment, into this place, to feel your breath, your feet, your body connecting you down to this earth. Receive the nourishment and support that it is always offering. Feel our connection to this original source of all hospitality. Peter Mayer sings, "I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home." Blue boat home, we hear your call aching in our spirits, tugging on our hearts as the moon tugs on your waters. Your seas are rising and your storms are raging. Leaning over the edge in darkness, some days it feels as if we might just fall off. Our ship's companions seem to be pulling in opposite directions. Captains yelling contradictory orders, sailors more likely to be brawling on the deck than gazing awestruck, kindred pilgrim souls. Wide universe, holy mystery, God beyond all naming, remind us there is room enough in the vast ocean for all our waves. For waves of grief and anger, of joy and of despair, of awe and of overwhelm. Whatever our waves, may we feel them crest and fall, held by one great ocean. Remind us of the same skies sheltering us all, holding both shouts of triumph and wails of defeat, all in the same small bubble of atmosphere. Remind us of our first and primal calling, a primordial calling that transcends that of religion or nationality or political party. Remind us, in the end, we are Earthlings, tiny creatures on a tiny planet, facing common threats, held together in common need of a healing that transcends all our differences. May we sail in quiet, in stillness, together in this little corner of our blue boat home. Each week in this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives. Today with Stephanie Ann Blythe and Ann Greenwood, we stand with our partner church brethren in Homotufo'olu, I'm going to get that right eventually, as as they celebrate Thanksgiving and take communion. Drought and water shortages are tempering their celebration this year. Our thoughts and prayers, our love goes out to them. With someone we lift up, Bernadette, who succumbed to addiction this week. May all who love her be held in love. May they know peace. Christina Kreveling just wants to express gratitude. And an anonymous one among us shares, I've been depressed and lonely lately. Please think of me. May you be held in love. Glad you're here. Cindy shares, for all those affected by Helene in the East, may they be safe and wrapped in the love and care of friends and family. May our social safety net show up and catch those who are not. And Richard Hanway is grateful his 95-year-old father is getting good medical care after a fall. Welcome you back, Richard. For all that has been named aloud and all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, for all the places in the world that tug at our hearts, may we know that what each of us holds here is held in the loving embrace of this community, and by a deeper love beyond all name, a love that cannot and will not let us go. May it be so, and amen. I invite you to stay seated as we sing together, "We Would Be One." The Last Good Days by Reverend Lynn Unger. What will you do with the last good days? Before the seas rise and the skies close in, before the terrible bill for all our thoughtless wanting finally comes due. What will you do with the last fresh morning filled with the watermelon scent of cut grass and the insistent bird calling sweet, sweet across the shining day? Crops are failing, economies dying, men crazy with lust for power and fame are shooting up movie theaters and engineering the profits of banks. It is entirely possible it only gets worse from here. How can you leave your heart open to such a vast and pervasive sadness? How can you close your eyes to the riot of joy and beauty that remains? The solutions, if there are any to be had, are complex, detailed, demanding. The answers are immediate and small. Wake up. Give thanks. Sing. Wake up. Give thanks. Sing. I first was introduced to the challenge of climate change. First started learning about what carbon and methane were doing in the atmosphere during a sixth grade theater project down at King Middle School. I was 11 years old, and we got it all a little mixed up. It was very exciting because we got to perform at Berkeley Rep. It was this like, wow. And we were putting together this play ourselves, this devised theater project, trying to make something out of the newly dawning understanding in the society that we are in big trouble. And so we put together this play, and the thing I remember most about it was the villain. We had this great villain. She was, it was some play on UV lady. It was like UVA lady. Because we got a little confused about climate change and the ozone layer. Remember there was the hole in the ozone layer? So it all seemed like it was kind of one problem to us at the time. And, well, it is a little bit, isn't it? I mean, she was, this villain she was a fashionista who made all of this fashionable clothing out of styrofoam and bubble wrap, and she went around spraying her aerosol cans. She's the head of this global empire of fashion destruction. And in some way, I think that we were right. I think that we had some kind of mythic understanding that this whole system, this whole global problem was all interconnected. I'm sure she was a white supremacist, too. See, we're doing this climate justice revival, we're calling it. Unitarian Universalists across the country, I think over 300 congregations are doing this weekend, having a workshop, talking about it in worship, taking a little action after the service, because we're trying to get ourselves into this understanding, as revivals have always done, that this isn't just one more issue to work on. This is a requiring of us a global sea change in how we think about human nature and our relationship to one another in the earth. The problems that we're facing are not limited to carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere. Because if we can understand this unity of the villain, and it's no person, right? This villain, it's hard to name. We were trying to get there last week. Maybe it's late-stage capitalism. But it runs, I think, deeper than that. Maybe it's modernity or coloniality, as the author of Hospicing Modernity would call it, or the Gesturing Toward Decolonial Futures Collective, this organization trying to imagine how do we get ourselves out of this mess. Maybe it's as simple as empire. But they say, these gesturing toward decolonial futures folks, it doesn't matter so much how we define exactly where this problem starts, but to recognize its totality. The way that it has, as we were talking about last week, invaded all of us and everything. In some ways, I think the best word to capture it is alienation. And we all have our own personal stories of where our personal alienation might come from. We have cultural awareness of where alienation came from in our modernity. We can go back even, David Abrams, that philosopher who thinks about the body as the source of our truest knowing. He would go all the way back to when humans split alphabetic language away from the symbols that pointed to real things in the earth as the beginning of this alienation. Wherever it comes from, this alienation is the same thing that's hurting our souls, creating massive, widespread addiction all around the globe. This separation from the cultural practices, the songs and stories and dances that once allowed us to stay connected and rooted in a deep understanding of humanity through the specific culture that we come out of. As those are stripped away, whether the addictions are to substances or to screens or to consumptive living, to fossil fuels and giant houses, the alienation inside is reflected in the alienation that we have created with our planet. And here's the thought I keep having about it. If alienation, if being alien is the problem, like those invasive species choking out all the native wildlife we were talking about last week, then what the answer is naturalization. Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about that there are some species, not very many, but some that are capable of naturalizing, becoming good citizens of the place that they were once invaders. She talks about English plantain, common plantain being one of them. You can see it all over our regional parks. This good citizen, once an invader, that has learned how to behave well with the other plants in the ecosystem, that offers medicine, useful medicine to people. Not all species can naturalize. Some species just can't adapt quickly enough. But I think there's hope for us. Because we can adapt. We can change. We can learn. We can grow and evolve. And so we can naturalize. We can return to a deeper understanding, something that every culture, if you go far enough back in our ancestry, knew, our deep interrelatedness, our deep connection to the earth. We can have that once again. But of course, we can't go back, right? It's going to be new. It's going to be different. And I think about this photo. You'll recognize it. This is the first time that human beings saw what our planet looks like. That Earthrise photo taken from the moon. And I believe, 50-something years later, we're still figuring out what this means for us. But I do think we could imagine that it is a moment that changes our deepest religiosity. I think that this image, and not necessarily the photo itself, but this idea of the planet as an image that contains us all, that we see as all of us belonging to in a small and fragile way. That image is lighting up movements all across the world of people who are placing it at the center of their spirituality. Unitarian Universalists, we are clear, we are committed to this kind of religiosity. In fact, I think this is our most holy symbol. But we're not alone. People all over the world are coming to this same conclusion. A global awakening, I would call it a religious awakening, although lots of folks who are waking up to it are atheists or not religious at all, not even consider themselves spiritual. It is a movement that crosses ideologies and identities, a movement that says we are Earthlings first. To become Earthlings, though, it's not about the globalness of it, because we can't imagine ourselves into an interconnectedness around the world, just like you can't imagine yourself into love of all of humanity. Have you ever tried? If you go, get cut off by somebody on the highway right after imagining that, you'll find out it doesn't work. But what you can do is love the people around you. What you can do is love the earth right outside your front door. Love the soil, love the birds and the creepy crawlies, love what is happening in the immediate place around you, and understand that through that specificity you love again and again this blue-green planet Earth. It also strikes me that this problem that comes from coloniality and modernity, this alienation, this UV lady villain, it also is what made this possible. And that within coloniality and modernity is the seed of a future hope for a planet connected in care. So all of this is the sort of stuff we were talking about with our kids at Chalice Camp this summer, because we think that our children, as young as 7 and 8 years old, need to understand what we're facing, and not just understand it, but understand what it takes to stay resilient in the face of it, to have faith and know the skills to work together, because they'll be spending their lifetimes. And their children will be spending their lifetimes facing the challenges that we know we're already facing today. So I want to share with you, this is a video that we made out of the interviews that the kids gave us at the end of Chalice Camp.
Our Earth is the only planet that has life on it, and we don't want to lose anything like that. The trees are what lets us breathe. I learned about the 30 by 30 pledge. If one animal goes extinct, that can change a lot of different animals' lives.
I'm worried that we're not focused on the most important, the largest contributors to the problem enough.
Climate change is something that we all created together, and it's something that we all have to fight together.
Well, you could think of some things that you could do to help. A million small actions can make a big difference. Stop using gas cars. Stop using motorcycles. I want to teach that you shouldn't be using a lot of fossil fuels. We need to start driving less cars, bike more places, walk more places. They can try to stop burning fossil fuels. They can try to use more electric things.
If one person has an electric car, that's not going to do anything. But if so many people have electric cars, then there's barely going to be any more pollution.
We should not raise as many cows. There are way too many cows on Earth that produce methane.
I think we need to really look for upstream solutions to industrial emissions.
If you threw something away that wasn't supposed to be in the trash, it was supposed to be in the recycling bin. If just one person does it, it probably won't do it. If everybody does it, then Earth will then the dumps will get bigger, and Earth will not be as great as it is today.
I wrote a letter to the head of food services at my school to ask her to switch the cereal containers to compostable bowls instead of these plastic disposable things.
A carbon tax or encouraging businesses to use more sustainable energy sources.
If you don't do anything now, then our world could explode, like I said, and no one wants that.
Even when I feel daunted, I like to remember that, in some ways, I need to do it anyways.
It would make a difference, and you didn't have to be feel so bad about it anymore.
Ride your bike or walk around places. That one is pretty hard actually, especially if you're like me and you always are late to things.
Even though it definitely seems like we're always too late to something, it really is never too late to start.
Oh, this is really stressful. I still have a commitment to keeping my Earth beautiful.
Going out into nature is nice, so you can see what's around you and realize your motivation is to keep all this beautiful space safe.
You really don't have to do it alone, and that we really can't do it alone.
If I already know so many people in the Bay Area that are trying to make a difference, I can only imagine how many people there are worldwide.
Because there's lots of things you can do in order to help, and anyone can make even a small difference is a big difference.
It's not the end of the world. Well, it could be, but if you work together and try to solve it, and you could save the Earth.
I feel like we have too much to lose to not try to do better. I just think life's awesome, and I don't think anyone else should lose that. It says hope is something you make.
Sorry, that audio was a little hard to hear. We'll get it out in another way too, but it was profoundly moving to me to hear these kids reflect on the challenges that we face, to understand the magnitude and how it can feel like there's so little that each of us can do, but to conclude that even though one person seems like they can't make a difference, what else is there to do but try? That this planet is so precious, it's worth saving. We have so much to lose. How can we not try to do better? And then to hear Em share hope is something that you make. Made me think of the way that Joanna Macy, who names this moment as the Great Turning, either the Great Unraveling or the Great Turning. She talks about active hope. It's something we do, it's something we choose, it's something we make. This week I was asked to go down to the Port of Oakland Commissioners meeting to speak on behalf of a group that's been organizing against expanding the Oakland airport. And honestly, it felt like, am I really going to rearrange my whole day, make it all the way down to the Oakland port from up here, cancel a meeting that felt pretty important, just to say something to a group of people who probably don't want to hear it anyway? And does it really matter in the end that we're going to expand one dinky little airport in the face of this global challenge? But I knew I was talking to you all today about this. And so I told them it was hard to make this choice, but I do think it's one drop at a time, one body at a time, one civic leader at a time, one dinky little government agency at a time that's going to get us out of this mess we're in. And so my invitation to you, the question for you is, what's the next step for you in becoming an earthling? What's outside your door? What soil do you want to get your hands in? Or what bike needs a little tune-up so you can hop on it more? What bird song do you want to spend a little more time listening to? What action might you take to do your part to turn the earth in this time of great turning? The solutions, if there are any to be had, are complex, detailed, demanding. The answers are immediate and small. Wake up, give thanks, sing. May it be so, and amen.
Hello, I'm Helen Tinsley Jones, and I'm co-president of your Board of Trustees. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of our church by giving electronically by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or by putting a cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you'll find in the back of the pew in front of you. and then put it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization. The Good Neighbor for this month is the Read Aloud volunteer program, which fosters the joy and love of learning in children through reading and storytelling. Will you join me in rededicating ourselves to this mission? We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service.
There's always lots happening in the life of our community. You can find out what's going on by looking at the week ahead at our website. It's under the news link on the homepage. And I want to lift up a few things, especially this week. You can still sign up for our chalice circles for this season, fall season of chalice circles. The enrollment, though, ends tomorrow, so now's the time. There's a chalice circles table out in the atrium after the service. I just think that's one of the most wonderful ways to get connected with loving community here in our congregation. On October 12th, coming up in a couple of weeks, we're having Tea for Two, a keyboard celebration with our own Brian and Katya. They're going to play piano and organ duets. So come for that for sure. Next Sunday, October 6th, before the service, come early and you'll get to hear Reverend Sherry Prudhomme, who is one of the professors at Star King School for the Ministry and a really close dear friend of mine. She's going to speak about love at the center, this theological clarity that we are articulating anew, refreshing our vocabulary for as we imbue our Article 2 with our Unitarian Universalist values. So come hear about her theological reflections on that work that's ongoing. Tonight, there's a men's fellowship meeting here at 6 o'clock. Anyone is welcome to come. It's a potluck, 6 to 9. All the men's groups that are part of the congregation get together on the 5th Sundays, I understand. So if you're curious about connecting with other men, male-identified folk in the congregation, come back this evening. And last, we are going to have an advocacy hour. After the service, there's chances to take your photo with various accoutrements, get it up on social media. We're in a season where our voting, of course, matters. Maybe more than ever, and so we're going to remember to get that gospel out as far and wide as we can to encourage everyone to show up, vote their values, and we'll have fun with it too. So thanks for organizing that, Climate Justice. Let's rise, embody your spirit, and we'll sing. We're going to sing this last hymn the way we started this worship series way back at Water Communion, our very first one. We're going to end it now with the same song, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, before me. Sing the sky, my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Reach out a hand or touch a shoulder and let us be connected. Oh, my ship's companions, couldn't ask for better pilgrim souls to ride this beautiful blue boat home with. May we know the truth that we are connected, that we depend on each other more than we know. May each day, in these last good days, in this great turning, wake up, give thanks, sing. May it be so. Amen.